not showing us on Twitch. It's not showing us live on Twitch. So. Oh, okay. It says it's failed to load the encoder on Twitch. How? Yeah, Twitch is going to take some playing around with for sure. Hey, so like on Twitch, can we post like a recorded video? Or does it have to all be live streams? Yeah. I bet you gotta do. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. Because I got the whatchamacallit, stream key in there. See, for YouTube, I had to have a server. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let me go to my messages real quick. And I haven't hit go live on Facebook yet, so I'll go ahead and hit go live. That way we'll be in sync. Yeah, I fixed it, start sharing this stuff real quick. Yeah, it's not on Twitch. I don't know why. It's just been stupid. Man, I want my. There it is. Yeah, it shouldn't mute the mic. Let's do a sound check real quick. All right, we're doing a sound check. Make sure everybody can hear us. If you
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Comment below. Let us know. We're doing a sound check. Make sure everybody can hear us. Can hear us? Can hear us? Comment. We're doing a sound check. Make sure everybody can hear. I think we're good.
Yep.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna pull these notes that I sent you really quick. I'm so glad I discovered this ninja thing, dude. Now I went back to the live stream in 1 minute because yeah, I switched it up. Like when you put it on a live stream in 1 minute or whatever, the intro, it mutes the mics automatically. So I probably switched it over. Oh, really?
Hey, y'all let us know if y'all can hear Steven in the comments.
Mic check. Mic check.
Hey, y'all let us know if y'all can hear Steven in the comments.
Check. Mic check. Right, I'm coming to hear Mecca. Oh, that's neat. It's got on air over our head.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, I got him right here. Give me a second to get him pulled up, and we'll be good to go.
Does it sound clear? Like, do both of us sound clear? There's a delay.
Yeah, it's going to be delayed. It's like a 10, 15-second delay between OBS and the software.
Yep. I know that. I was just letting him know that. He was saying we were lagging.
Yeah, I know. But we're lagging? Like
is it glitchy lagging, or is it just a delay? Okay, it's just a delay.
Yeah, that's normal. All right. Get OBS pulled up here, and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, welcome in. It is a late night tonight. We're still working out some kinks, but good news, we did get a Twitch signed up, and I will post the link here in the comments so y'all can follow us on Twitch. We're also streaming on Twitter, so let me get the Twitter. I mean, not Twitter, YouTube. Why did I say Twitter?
Why did you say
weird.
Twitter?
I don't know. I mean, we got a Twitter account, but I don't stream on Twitter. That's weird. Let me get the YouTube channel, and then we will go from there. It's just look it up. It's the Madhouse Sports channel. I'll post the link in the description. If I move it out now, it might take away our live stream. So, but I'll go ahead and see if I can post a link, and then I'll post a link to our Twitch as well. So we're working out kinks there. Steven is actually out of town this week. He is in, I'm not sure where. I think he said Athens, not Athens, Georgia, but Athens, Alabama. So he's there. I'll be out of town next week in Arkansas, but we'll still do a show. I'm going to take my stuff with me, so that's cool. Other than that, it's a late start, but we're going to get everything going. And I got my notes. Let me pull up my notes because I'm kind of not sure what I'm saying right now. All right, so yeah, we got a Twitch account. We got it set up. I'm fixing to post a link to Twitch, so if y'all want to follow us on that as well, you can. Steven, you got anything you want to say before we get started, bud?
We're just like you said, we're just working on some other social media platforms and everything. You know, we also got Kick we're working on. There's a lot of kinks with that one too. And like I said, I'm out of town for the week, so it's going to be a little, trying to get this done right as best we can. So let's get it going.
Yeah, it's going to take a couple weeks. Luckily, we did. Me and Steven did a little test earlier. I think some of y'all may have watched it. We found a way to highlight speakers, which is really cool. So we're excited about that. So y'all get a chance to take a look at that here in just a minute. Steven, do you have the link to the Twitch? For some reason, I can't get it to pull up.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
If you do, go ahead, post it in there. So yeah, we got a new little feature that we're going to feature tonight that I think you'll like. And then, of course, in the upcoming weeks, we're going to be adding some lower thirds and some name tags or of some sort over us. So new people coming in would actually know who we are. But while he's looking for that, we want to talk about these games from last weekend. There's a couple games to me that really stood out, Steven. And we had both talked about it. In fact, I didn't really even watch that much football last weekend. It was
Me
a
either.
weird weekend. I did watch probably 80% of the Georgia South Carolina game. And if y'all follow us on YouTube, you'll know that I posted a pretty cocky video at halftime, but I think I jinxed South Carolina because Georgia came back and won that game. But South Carolina was leading, man, that 14-3 at halftime. Did you get a chance to watch any of that game?
No, I did not get a chance to watch any of that game. I was getting ready for the Nickelback concert, which was amazing.
Oh, that's right. You did. Yeah, I've actually seen them at concert. It was back in like 2005, 2006. And they put on a hell of a show then. I'm sure it's probably the same now, but it's kind of weird to me that Brantley Gilbert opened for him. Like, what was
Actually, so I thought the same thing, but when he came out, it was like a rock concert. It wasn't, that country that you would normally get. But he came out and he did some of his songs, but then he did "Blind" by Korn, and that was amazing. And then it started raining on us during Brantley Gilbert, and then he ended up walking out into the crowd and singing while he was going through the crowd, and then went back on stage or whatever. And then we got into a rain delay, and the Nickelback came on and just rocked the house.
Man, that's pretty awesome. So did he do any of his country stuff, or was it all just rock?
He did most of his country stuff, but he did it in because his country stuff's more of that hard rockish style.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So
I got you. All right. So on the South Carolina Georgia game, if y'all didn't watch it, South Carolina was leading 14-3 at halftime, and I was like, "Uh-oh, Georgia's in trouble." So me being me and having a few beers in me at the time, went outside and posted a video on our YouTube channel talking about how South Carolina was dominating Georgia, and if Georgia didn't change some things, they're fixing to see their first loss in 2 years, and blah, blah, blah. And we actually had some people comment on that. They were Georgia fans, of course. But I went back and commented and said, hey, yeah, y'all came back and won. Congratulations on the win. But they looked sloppy, and they did for the first half. Second half was a completely different story, man. Spencer Rattler looked really good the first half, but he ended with 22 for 42 for 256 yards. He had one touchdown and he threw 2 picks. And I think those 2 picks came the second half, if I'm not mistaken. Carson Beck looked awesome. No interceptions, no touchdowns, but he was 27 for 35 for 269 yards. Some keys to the game that I took away, Steven, I'll let you chime in here whenever. South Carolina just could not run the ball. They only have 53 yards total rushing. And, it's going to be hard to run the ball against Georgia anyway. But if you want to beat Georgia, you're going to have to be able to run the ball because Georgia's secondary is really good too.
Right.
Georgia had 189 yards rushing, and South Carolina just could not force any turnovers in the game, which to me was a big deal. What's your take on that? Have you had a chance to watch Georgia or South Carolina at all this year?
I watched Georgia a little bit week 2, I believe, and they look sloppy. Their defense isn't all there. You can obviously tell they got some kinks they're trying to work out and everything. South Carolina, all I've seen is highlights on them, and I'm a believer in Beamer ball. I think it's something that is up and coming, and it's going to be good. But, that's kind of why I picked South Carolina to win that game, which you jinxed it at halftime. Not only you, but my best friend, he kind of called me, was like, I swear to God, if South Carolina pulls this off. And then, of course, Georgia came back in the second half and did their thing. But,
well, man,
Georgia.
Your Beamer ball seemed to give them some kind of good mojo the first half. I shouldn't have said anything until after the game was over with, man. But
right.
It was just like it had that feeling of an upset brewing. Like Georgia could not do anything, and they started off slow. But every game they played this year, it seems like they started off slow. I mean, look at Ball State, man. They was like 21-6 at halftime,
right?
And they came back and dominated that game.
But how many times have you seen Bama start off slow and then come back in the second half and just dominate?
No, I mean, I agree
over the years. I mean, it's
yeah.
Some teams are just second half teams, and I guess that's just the way that Georgia's going to roll this year.
So,
do I think they're going to go undefeated after seeing what I've seen the past, first 4 weeks? No, they're going to have a loss at some point.
We're going to talk about this here in just a second, but I don't think there's going to be any undefeated SEC teams when it's all said and done. And that's in our notes a little bit further down on the show. We'll talk about that. What about Tennessee and Florida?
That was a shocker.
Yeah, we both picked Tennessee last week
Yep.
because we just thought Florida didn't have a chance. I mean, the game was in Gainesville. I mean, the Swamp is a tough place to play, man. It really is. I've never been there, but I've heard from several people that it's extremely loud there.
I just didn't think Billy Napier had the team ready to
No,
do that.
I didn't either. And the thing is, though, man, Tennessee didn't look bad, but after that first touchdown, man, Florida's defense just shut them down. Florida scored 20 unanswered points in the second quarter. It was 26-7 Florida at halftime, and excuse me, I knew at that point that Tennessee was in trouble because they came out the second half. They didn't really make any adjustments, or at least it didn't seem like they did.
Right.
But yeah, what went wrong in that game, man? Nothing. Like I said, nothing really went wrong. Tennessee played a decent game.
What do you think? It could have been a confidence factor, like they come in thinking, "We got this." You know, they're not doing so hot.
It could have been, but that is technically a rivalry game for them too. So anything can happen, you know. But now that Tennessee's gotten beat, because we thought they were going to be the number 2 team in the East. Now that they've done it, man, the East is upside down right now. The West is upside down.
The SEC's upside down. Like honestly, and this all goes back to the whole NIL and transfer portal. I mean,
yep,
it's making college football a more even playing field, in my opinion. I just feel, it kind of evens everything out because you've got some Pac-12 teams that are actually doing pretty solid this year, and that's not normal. You obviously have the USC and the Oregon, but other than that, who do you really hear about in Pac-12? And this year you got Colorado coming into the play, Utah, and teams like that. So, I mean, it's
Oregon
just like,
State.
Yeah.
I mean, even UCLA, I think they're undefeated right now. So, excuse me. A lot of weird games happened this weekend.
For sure.
Florida State escaped an upset against Boston College, man. I watched a little bit of that game at the tail end of it. I actually went to the local Piggly Wiggly here where we live, and they started selling draft beer. So I went up there to get they sell, but it's weird. You can buy a gallon. They price it at a gallon, but you can only buy them at half gallons.
Really?
So you pay if it's like $12 for a gallon, they'll give you 2 half-gallon jugs. I guess it's a law or something. But I was watching a little bit of it in my truck when I was kind of waiting for stuff because it was just really busy that day.
Yeah.
And Boston College just was not giving up, man. It was a back and forth game. I didn't watch. Like I said,
that was the red bandana game, and they always go a little harder in that game just because of what it is and all that. Of course. So.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't from what I saw, it wasn't a bad game. But Florida State, man, they had their hands full. So now it makes you wonder who's the best team in the ACC. Is it still Florida State? Is it Miami?
Well, it's definitely not Clemson.
No, it's not Clemson. Duke looks decent. North Carolina looks decent.
I think North Carolina, as of right now, I think North Carolina looks the best out of all the teams.
They're probably the most solid, the most consistent team. I can agree with you on that one. I'm not going to say there's any dominant teams. The first week, Florida State looked dominant when they pretty much shut LSU down the first half. But that could be too that maybe LSU's a little overrated. So we still don't know much about LSU other than that Florida State game. We'll know more come week 5 and 6, really about all these teams.
Oh yeah.
Not Florida State. LSU has their first conference game this week with Arkansas, so that's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about the game here in just a few minutes, but man, the 2 games that I really wanted to talk about are the 2 teams that we follow: Alabama and South Florida, and then Auburn and Samford.
Can we skip the Alabama game?
But I'm going to let you comment on this first. Now, I've got my own opinion of it, and I'll give it in a minute. But let me ask you this: do you think that there is a quarterback problem at Alabama?
Oh, for sure. It's just you don't have none of the quarterbacks that Alabama has right now is a leader, if that makes any sense. They're on the field, they're the quarterback, but it doesn't seem like they have the team behind them. So I mean that's my big takeaway right now. It's just I think there just needs to be a little bit of work on the leadership aspect of things. Because if anybody could do it, it would be Milrow. But at the same time, he's still young. He doesn't really have the experience, and he just needs to get the team behind him and help him out a little bit.
Yeah, I see. I kind of agree with you to a certain extent. However, as far as a quarterback issue, I was talking about this with some guys at work that are some Alabama fans, and I didn't see the video, but they said that Nick Saban played the three quarterbacks as a statement to the fans to say, "Look, I know what I'm doing. Quit asking who our quarterback's going to be, and just shut up about it." Like basically, he was saying, "This is going to be. I mean, this is the way things are going to go. It's going to be my choice. We're going to play who I want to, and so I'm going to pull Jalen Milrow to prove to you that Ty Simpson or I'm not sure who the other guy is better.
Tyler Buckner.
Yeah, Tyler Buckner. Yeah, that. I mean, I didn't like I said, I didn't really watch that game too much because one, it was a rain delay, like a weather delay, so it was like an hour and a half delay. But from what I saw, man, like Alabama's offensive line just couldn't freaking block air. It was bad.
It was horrible, man. And that rain delay, I really was hoping that rain delay was going to give Bama the advantage, kind of get them, let them get their wits about them, get the rust shaken off or whatever. But it didn't seem to help at all. They didn't come alive till about the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Let me check something. It doesn't look like we're live. Are we still live on Facebook? Let me double check here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're watching live on Facebook, y'all make sure y'all comment. I want to know y'all's opinions about these games if you watched them last weekend. And if you're watching on YouTube, check that out as well. Steven, let me ask you this. Do you think that weather delay played a factor in the way they played? Do you think it hurt them or do you think it helped them?
But it clearly didn't help them because they still struggled once the weather delay was over. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say it hurt them. It seemed like they were still playing the same way they played beforehand. So they were already in that mindset of this is what we're going to do. So this is how we're playing the game.
Right.
And I guess this goes back to what your buddies at work were saying by Saban has a process and he's going to do it that way. But I just don't see it working out as well as it has been this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Do you think that he's losing his passion for the game?
No, I don't think he's losing his passion for the game. I just think, like he said before, I've heard him say before on the Pat McAfee show, he said it's a cultural thing. You have to realize what culture is going on with your team, and you kind of have to adjust your coaching style around that because you don't want to, I guess, push away your good players if they're a certain way. So you kind of got to give a little, but at the same time still be a coach. So it's just a matter of him adjusting to the new culture.
Haley said I sound like I'm in a barrel. I guess it's because I'm still congested a little bit. I can agree with that, man. I don't think he's lost his passion yet, but like we talked about last week, the transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff is playing a factor, and so he's not going to be as dominating as he was 10 years ago. It's not that he's still. I mean, he still has a coaching genes. I mean, he's still the GOAT, but just because the SEC is so competitive now because of NIL, because there's really not a poor team in the SEC. Even Vandy, they got money. Now, does the right coach play a factor? Of course it does.
Oh, for sure.
But it doesn't. To me, like now, recruiting is not as hard because if you got to say, hey, I've got $5 million if you come play for me.
Now, a buddy of mine at work, he did say that that this is one of the worst coaching staffs Saban has had, and I do agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. And I think I heard on Paul Feinbaum maybe him saying that this was the best team Alabama's had, and I was like, There's no way, because if this is the best team Alabama's had, they've won the national championship with less talent. Is that what you're saying? No, this is not the best team in my opinion that this team has had. This is a mediocre to good team at best.
This reminds me of 2013.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And it's not that they're bad; they're young.
Yeah.
Most of them are inexperienced. I'm not sure how many starters they have on that team. I know their quarterback, running back. I think half their O line or first year starters. So it's going to take some time for them to gel. They'll get it down. They'll get it down. It's just going to take some time. We're going to talk more about these. I'm having all kind of weird stuff pop up on my computer, man. Like all these Word documents that I don't need. There's something weird going on. I'm trying to close those out. Give me just a second, guys.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah, if y'all are watching this on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, go make some comments. By the way, we're trying to get a live call show set up, and we're gonna have to play around with that and see how it works. We'll have to do like a test run to see if we'll be able to hear people calling in through the streaming service. If we can, that'd be awesome. We'll provide the phone for y'all. But do you think people are reacting prematurely about Alabama, or do you think that there's like some legitimate concerns?
I think there's some legitimate concerns this year, because there's no consistency. You don't see really any changes when things are going wrong. You don't see any changes of, like the way the play style is going, play calling, defense. They're pretty much still running. From what I can tell, they're running mostly zone this year for some reason. I wish they would play a little more man coverage. That would help out tremendously because, I know we got the corners that could cover that. But, defensively, that they're not changing up what they're doing. And a lot of that does fall on Kevin Steele because he has that certain mindset, as y'all know, at Auburn.
That's why I'm laughing right now, because I remember a couple of years ago, a certain individual, I'm not going to name their names, Stephen York, said that Auburn needed to hire Kevin Steele over Brian Harsin.
I still stand behind that. I think he could have done.
He would have done a little bit better, but we'd still be with Hugh Freeze right now. We wouldn't have Kevin Steele. I don't think. There's too much controversy during that time. It reminded me of the Tuberville Petrino, the Watergate, not Watergate, the Jetgate scandal. It reminded me a lot of that. So that's why I was really hoping Harsin was going to prove everybody wrong and say, you know what, let me show you what I'm going to do. And unfortunately, he didn't work out.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Alabama's O-line? Do you think they'll still struggle, or
that? Yes and no. I think that their struggle the first couple weeks in SEC play, but I think I'm trying to think who they've got after Mississippi, after Ole Miss. It's Arkansas, I think. Am I right?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's Arkansas, and then they have Mississippi State in there somewhere, LSU. I think they'll have it together by the LSU game for sure. Now, with that being said, just because our O-line's playing not up to par doesn't mean that they're going to lose all these games. It just means that it may not be to the expectations that Alabama fans have of the 30 to 40-point blowouts. I mean, I honestly don't see Alabama blowing out any SEC team this year except for maybe Kentucky.
Well, when you've been used to something for so long as Bama fans have,
yeah,
me included to an extent. At the same time, I'm a football fan first, so I know close games are going to happen, and I'm like, it is what it is. Right. But you have those fans that are like, it's Alabama or nothing, and they're struggling to watch football right now.
They're kind of Georgia fans are now being what Alabama fans were 5-6 years ago. they're getting that taste of that dynasty in their sense, and now they're like, oh, well, we're Georgia, we can't be beat. No, you can, and you will this year at some point. So I know you didn't watch a lot of games, but I want to touch on just for a second before we get into what our upset alerts this weekend and our picks. I didn't get to watch a lot of the Auburn game because it was on ESPN Plus, and I was trying to log in on my TV, and I was having a lot of issues trying to get it connected. Which, by the way, if y'all have ESPN Plus, make sure you have it on your TV the day before your game comes on because it's a hassle trying to get it set up. But when I first turned the game on, I think it was like 17-0 Auburn. No, they didn't score till the second quarter, I think. At halftime, it was 17-0. I was like, man, this is ridiculous. We're not running the ball. We're throwing it. And then, of course, Auburn came back and won the game. I think it was like 45-13, something like that.
Right.
And I was really disappointed in the game until I went back and watched a lot of the highlights. And the lack of the running game was not because they couldn't run the ball. That was by design. They wanted to see what Peyton Thorne could do throwing the ball. And what better way to do it than against Stanford? It was pretty much a glorified scrimmage game, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
He was 13. This is an interesting stat, and I kind of thought this was kind of gave me a little bit of hope about the future. He was 13 for 15 on RPO plays. The only two plays that didn't go well were the two interceptions he threw, and in his defense, only one of those interceptions were his fault. One of them was in the end zone. It hit the receiver dead in the chest, and the ball bounced out, and Stanford just grabbed it. So that's not Peyton Thorne's fault. That's the receiver's fault for not holding on to it. The other one was a decent throw, but it was to Stanford and not to the Auburn receiver. I think it was Shane Hooks, maybe. But one thing I was impressed about, man, was that Peyton Thorne actually shut off his leg skills a little bit. Yeah. Now, is he Robbie Ashford? No, he doesn't have that kind of agility, but he can move, and that was kind of satisfying to see that because at this point we haven't seen that from them.
Yeah, I still say I'm still going to stand behind the fact that Robbie Ashford is going to be your red zone quarterback.
Oh yeah, Hugh Freeze has already said that he's not going to change that package up. He's going to use them on third and short, fourth and short, and red zones. And now, I mean, I'm not a head coach. I don't know what Hugh Freeze is thinking, but what I would do is I would have certain pass plays drawn up for Robbie Ashford, particularly in the red zone when they're thinking he's going to throw a run, drop back with an RPO and actually throw the ball instead of run it. Right. Make that defense bite on the run, and you got a wide open receiver. And I'm sure Hugh Freeze is doing that, man, because the dude knows how to call plays. And Philip Montgomery, I didn't know this, man. He had like the best offense in the country last year at Tulsa. Of course, it's Tulsa, but the dude can call plays. I mean, Philip Montgomery's not a bad guy. Right. I mean, I'm satisfied with their coaching staff. I just haven't been satisfied with their play calling up to this point. But it's not necessarily the play calling that's the issue. It's the execution that's the issue.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they've gotten it together because if we play this weekend, but this is another thing that I found really shocking, and I actually had to look this up because I thought it was inaccurate. But I was listening to Hugh Freeze's post-game press conference, and one of the guys from the War Report, I don't know if y'all watch them, if you're Auburn fans, if you watch them on YouTube, said that Peyton Thorne was 18 yards shy of breaking an Auburn record. And that Auburn record was 300 passing yards and 100 rushing yards in a single game. And I was like, wait a minute. Nick Marshall didn't do that? Cam Newton didn't do that? But apparently they didn't. I thought that at least one of them would have broken that record, but apparently it wasn't it's never been done before.
Well, they probably did more running than they did passing, so I could see how they didn't.
They did to a certain point, but there were some games, man, with Cam Newton was just lighting up the end zone, like wide open receivers. But you got to think of the team they had this year, man. They had a well-rounded team. Like offensive line was incredible. That's one of the best offensive line Auburn has ever had.
Yeah.
We had some big upsets big upsets and some big scares this weekend, man. We had Colorado State going to double overtime.
I fell asleep on that one.
I did too.
Florida State I had gotten home from the concert, and there was like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I was like, and then I watched it. I watched half of the first overtime, and the next thing I know, I'm getting shook on the arm. Hey, let's go to bed, because I fell asleep on the couch watching it. And,
I got you. Yeah, I fell asleep too. I had it on in the bedroom, and The game wasn't even over at that point, but I just passed out. I was so tired. I actually fell asleep during half the Auburn game and woke up. It was 38-13. I was like, what did I miss? So, Florida State, Boston College, you talked about a little bit. Boston College almost gave Florida State a massive upset. Arkansas, Arkansas losing to BYU
I was
at home.
not expecting that.
No, I don't think anybody was. In fact, though, when I played, I bet a little bit like $1 on game just to kind of play around with it to see. And I really wish I could go back and bet on that game because I almost did. Because I always bet on the underdogs, especially if there's like a 38-point spread.
Yeah, if you do, I mean, you usually do like a $5,
Yeah, I mean, if I do, I'll do like a parlay, like a $1 parlay, and if I win like $200. So it's not like I'm out a lot of money. It's $1, and that money's been in that account for like 2 years. So it's, but Tennessee and Florida we talked about. Before we get into these picks, man, is the SEC down this year? Do you think it's down, or do you think it's just getting more competitive?
I wouldn't necessarily say down. And if they are down, they're definitely not out. Like I said, it's early season, so they're just probably just trying to work out kinks and everything. It's a different age of football. Like I've been saying, it's more competitive all around. So it's not like SEC, Big Ten, and then everybody else. It's actually a lot of competition, and it's starting to show.
Yeah, and then next year is going to be even more competitive with all these Pac-12 teams and Big 12 teams leaving. And we got Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC, which that's going to be really exciting. We got, 4 Pac-12 teams going to the Big 12? To the Big 10. We got 4 going to the ACC.
And there's a couple going to the Big 12.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just getting all mixed up. And like 2 years ago, if you would have told me the Pac-12 would have been the first Power 5 conference to go down, I would have laughed. I would have thought it would have been the Big 12. I really would have.
Well, see, because all the Big 12 had was what you had: Texas, Oklahoma, sometimes Texas Tech, sometimes Oklahoma State,
sometimes TCU, Baylor.
But the big 4 was Baylor, TCU, Texas, and Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. And TCU and Baylor didn't get good until recently. Like as in the past few years recently. So,
well, they were pretty good when Andy Dalton was there.
Yeah, they were. I mean, it's going to get in RG3 at Baylor, but
yeah,
it's definitely going to get interesting next year. I can't wait, especially that they're getting rid of divisions in the SEC. And this is going to be the top 2 teams.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, because they're adding. They're going to have 9 conference games instead of 8.
Nope, they're sticking with 8.
Are they sticking with 8? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How are they going to do the?
You can thank Saban for that one, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I was looking forward to the 9 games, man, because I was hoping that, and they probably still will bring back like the A&M Texas rivalry. I don't see them. They're not going to get rid of the Iron Bowl. They're not going to get rid of the third Saturday in October. I mean, there's certain rivalries they're not going to get rid of.
Yeah.
Just because of the money it brings. Auburn, Georgia game, they're not going to get rid of that. So we got some big games this weekend, dude. We got quite a few games. So we're actually going to do our pick 6 this week. And then at the end, we're going to add something to the show. We're both going to make a bold prediction and see if that bold prediction comes true. Now, y'all know that a bold prediction doesn't mean it's going to come true, but it means it's more than likely not going to come true, but you're going out on a limb and saying this is what's going to happen. So this is going to be really interesting to see if what we say actually comes true. So first game we're going to talk about, man.
Should have happened last week with South Carolina.
Yeah, that was my fault. South Carolina fans, I apologize to you 100%. That was my fault. I got on there and I ran my mouth on YouTube, and I shouldn't have. I should have just kept silent and laughed after the fact. But anyway, Colorado and Oregon. This is a very, very interesting game to me because Colorado beat TCU, who was the runner-up in the national championship last year. But they struggled against let's face it, a not very good Colorado State team.
Mm-hmm.
Took them 2 overtimes to beat them. There's a big old massive fight, which kind of saw that. It's a rivalry game. What are your takes on this game?
What are my takes on this game? Well, hopefully, I am already on uh, the bandwagon of Sir Coach Prime. So I feel Colorado has something to prove, and I feel like they're going to do it. Um, Now their only downfall is Oregon shows up and actually plays football. Didn't show. It didn't show what 2 weeks ago. When was their struggle game?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago that was like 73 to nothing.
No, that was the 73 to nothing game. But that one game, yeah, it was the first week. No.
Man,
Yeah.
well, keep talking. I was trying to look up some stuff at ESPN at work, and they got a
Yeah. I got you. But yeah, I think Colorado can pull this off as if they come out with the mindset of we're going to do this. They are going to be missing a key player in that one with Travis Hunter being out.
biggest key player.
Yeah. And then I think Sanders needs to not coach Sanders, but their quarterback. Yeah. He needs to calm it down a little bit. He got a little antsy in that last game, but I mean that was a chippy game anyway.
It was, but that just goes to show you that when Colorado was playing from behind, they're like any other team. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to try to play catch up, and when you try to play catch up and you do it in a hurry, that's when you make mistakes.
Right.
Let's see. Oregon's struggle was, I want to say it was the first week, but I can't remember who it was against. But they've kind of pulled it together since then.
Yeah. But I mean, you got. I don't know what Coach Prime has in store, but I'm hoping it's for the better.
Yeah,
because they did struggle pretty hard last week. I don't know if it was just because they had that confidence in their head that they're going to win for sure, and they just kind of laid down a little bit.
Well, it wasn't week one because week one was an 81-7 game against Portland State.
It might have been last week, but I know there was one game where Oregon struggled pretty hard.
Yeah, I don't think they played Oregon State yet. I was going to say it was them, but I don't think they played them yet. I think it may have been week two because a lot of these teams struggled week two, like Georgia struggling against Ball State the first half.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know Georgia got the win, but Auburn struggled against Cal, which didn't really see that coming, honestly. I'm looking through here to see if I can find it. Oregon. And I apologize, guys. I'm still getting over the COVID. I'm not contagious. The virus is gone, but the congestion and the cough is still there, and it's not. It's going to take a couple of weeks, and unfortunately, I'm hoping that it's gone by next weekend because this is getting very annoying. So here's my take on Oregon State, on Oregon and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado has been tested, obviously, with Colorado State last week.
Mm-hmm.
They were sort of tested with TCU, but I don't think they've been tested to the point of the kind of offense that Oregon brings, that high-powered, heavy passing game with Bo Nix. And look, by the way, I've never been anti-Bo Nix, okay?
Bo Picks.
Auburn fans, a lot of Auburn fans were. Bo Nix is not a bad quarterback. He was in the wrong system, and he wasn't coached right at Auburn. And I don't blame him for leaving when he did because he went to Oregon last year and put up Heisman numbers, and he's putting them up again this year. And if he keeps it up, I would be very surprised if he's not at least in the top 5 come the end of the year.
Right.
If he keeps his numbers up. Because Travis Hunter is out of this game, not only are they losing a key player on defense, but they're also losing a key offensive player.
Right.
And I think that's going to make a difference in this game. I think.
Yeah, but also it could mean somebody steps up.
Well, yeah, it could be. And, I mean, Deion's other son, I think, is a defensive back, and he's good. But that being said, something tells me that because the game is in Eugene, that Prime's going to have those guys ready, but Oregon is ready
He's
to
going to
say,
be ready
hey,
for it. Yeah.
they're going to be ready for it. They're going to say, hey, look, Colorado's not all that. We're going to show you that they're not all that. In fact, I have them winning by like 2 touchdowns. I think I picked the score at work to be 38-20. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that score or not, but I do think Oregon wins this game. I do. I think with that passing game, Travis Hunter being out, it's going to be ugly. Now Colorado's going to score. They're going to put up some points for sure. It's actually probably going to be a high scoring game if I had to guess. But I don't know if Colorado's going to have what it takes to get past Oregon. That's just my opinion, and that's actually the first game I think we've disagreed on.
Yeah.
All right, what about Ohio State, Notre Dame?
Ohio State.
Your two favorite teams.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. It's for sure going to be Ohio State. I mean, Notre Dame's doing some good stuff, but Ohio State's just got that power going for him right now. Ryan Day, he's doing something good up there in Ohio State. Yep. Unfortunately, as bad as I hate to say that, God, as bad as I hate to say that.
Well, after he made that comment about y'all being rednecks, or people from Alabama being rednecks, I was like, you know what? I don't typically pull for Alabama, but that year I did in the Natty. I was like, man, I hope they beat the dog crap out of them, and they did. They did. I'm like you. Ohio State's going to win this game. I honestly don't think it's going to be much of a contest.
It's not. It's going to be an outright.
I really don't. I mean, I think it's going to be a 21 point.
I was about to say 21 point game.
Yeah, 21 point plus. This next game is interesting, man, because both of these teams need this win. They're both 1-2. South Carolina's already played a conference game. I don't think Mississippi State has. Mississippi State travels to Columbia to play South Carolina. What do you think about this game? How does it look for you?
Beamer ball.
Yeah, Beamer ball, man. You're gonna have to put some mojo on them again this week. Yeah, and I promise y'all, South Carolina, I won't say anything about y'all beating Mississippi State at halftime.
But no, South Carolina, they're going to probably win this one pretty handedly. I think it's going to be a 14-point game. Mississippi State, I mean, they're getting there, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I don't think Mississippi State's going to get it together this year. I really don't. And it's unfortunate, man, because of what happened with Mike Leach.
I wouldn't say that they're not going to get it together. They will. They're just not going to. They're probably 7-4.
You know, I was a little optimistic about them to start the season, but I honestly think that they're going to finish the last in the West this year. I do, because I think that Arkansas loss was a fluke. I think they're going to improve. I mean, how can you not when you got KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders? I mean, those dudes are freaking incredible, and then they got great receivers too. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about them here in a minute, but I'm like you. I think South Carolina is just going to be too good for Mississippi State. Being played at home, so they won't have the. I mean, they'll bring their cowbells, but they won't be anything like it is when you're in Starkville.
Right.
The defense has been a little disappointing this year, and that's disappointing because I figured Arnett would have had those boys playing some pretty good D, but it's almost like he's focusing more on the offense this year than he is the defense.
Yeah.
All right, man. This game is one that I'm looking forward to because of what happened last weekend, and because this could very well be a game that determines who finishes second and third in the West, and that's Arkansas and LSU. Arkansas is on the road in Baton Rouge. I think it's a night game, so it's already a double disadvantage for Arkansas. Do you think Arkansas can – I don't even know what to call it in upset. Do you think Arkansas can pull off the win here?
They would have to play really, really hard. They'd have to come in. It's all or nothing. Can they do it? Yeah. Will they do it? Probably not. Am I going to pull for them to do it? Absolutely. I think Arkansas could possibly pull this one out. A 7-point game.
I can see it. Here's the thing about Arkansas that I've noticed. The past few years, they've been highly talked about. Mm-hmm. They've been way up here in people's pedestals and said, oh, this is Arkansas's year. This is Arkansas's year. And every year they lose a game they're not supposed to. Last year they lost to Liberty at home. This year they lost to BYU at home. Is that game going to affect them mentally? maybe a little, but I think they're out for revenge. I really do. I think they're out to prove a point. Say, hey, you know what? That loss last weekend was a fluke. It's not going to happen again. I'm like you. Can Arkansas win this game? Yes, they can. Will they win this game? I don't know. I honestly could see this being a shootout, a back and forth shootout. Whoever has the most points at the win at the end is going to win. I know that sounds cliche.
Whoever's got the ball at the end is going to win the game. Yeah,
exactly. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's true because I don't know how defensively. I mean, Arkansas's got a really good defense, but Rocket Sanders, if he gets going, it's going to create some lanes for the wide receivers to get open, and then KJ Jefferson is going to light him up on the scoreboard.
right.
But that's if they could get past LSU's defense, man. I don't know. For sake of safety, I guess I want to go LSU in this game.
That's 2.
But are you picking Arkansas to win?
Yeah. Arkansas by 7.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good game, and I'm looking forward to that game actually.
I'm interested for that one too.
Yeah. Now this next game, I'm definitely looking forward to, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm scared about this game because I'm an Auburn fan, and because we don't know much about them. But they play at 11 o'clock Saturday at Kyle Field with 110,000 or whatever it is with the 12th man. It's gonna be loud. But I have heard from A&M fans that 11 o'clock games, they're not very loud. They're just kind of like just waking up at that point. So home field advantage always plays a factor in games like this. We don't know much about Auburn. We know more about A&M than we do Auburn. We know that A&M, their secondary has struggled. I mean, yeah, granted, they struggled against Miami, and Miami might be a really good team. We don't know much about Miami yet until they get into the heart of the ACC schedule. But Connor Wigwam, whatever his name is playing really good football right now.
Yeah.
He's playing really good football.
Yeah, Wigwam is playing pretty good football.
He is. And I'm concerned because Auburn's last road game was in California, and they pulled out a 4-point win. Now, granted, time zone probably made a difference in that game. Start time, the distance they had to travel for that game was like over 3,000 miles. So they were already tired. And I'm not making an excuse for them. I mean, they still won the game. They found a way to win. But here's the keys, in my opinion, to this game. Auburn's got to run the ball. That's been the strength of this offense for years. They've got to run the ball. Offensive line is a lot better this year than I thought they would be. I mean, they're head and shoulders better than they were last year, man. Like, it's complete 180. You look at the team last year at this point, and you look at this offensive line this year, and you're like, man, where were these guys last year? I mean, Hugh Freeze pulled a Dion, pretty much like revamped that whole team. Like, most of their players are transfers that played for other schools last year. Auburn's got a freaking beast tight end, Rivaldo Fairweather. He's 7 for 7 on his catches.
No Lutzenkirchen, but he is pretty good.
You what?
No Lutzenkirchen, but he is pretty good.
Well, yeah. Well, and like I said, he's only had seven passes to him, but they've all been completions.
Right.
And then, of course, you got Jay Fair and you got Shane Hooks, who actually transferred from Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn's got weapons. They have offensive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Both in the running back room, which they've got 4 deep at running back that could go out there and run the ball 100 yards any given day. Passing, they got great receivers. The biggest question to me is whether or not Peyton Thorne's going to be ready for this game. There's been rumors that he's choked in big games at Michigan State. He kind of sort of choked in the California game. I'm not going to call that a big game for Auburn, but it was because it was their first Power 5 game in the Hugh Freeze era. So I'm going to give my prediction here in a minute, but I want to hear your take on this game before I give my prediction.
My take on the game, I'm going to let you give the prediction first because you are the Auburn fan, so I'll give you the honor of saying that one first. But my takeaway from the game is going to be, like you said, Peyton Thorne's just going to have to show up and play. He can't lollygag. He can't try to be Mr. Hero. He has to play solid football, a whole 4 quarters of solid football. Y'all have the wide receivers and y'all have the running backs to do what you need to do. You just got to execute it, and I think y'all can. Uh, it's just a matter of can y'all beat Jimbo with this young of a team that y'all have?
Yes, we can beat Jimbo. We beat him last year. Of course, that game was in Auburn. Cornell Williams pulled a miracle, and honestly, I mean, A&M was just bad last year. They were bad. They're a lot better this year. Typically, though, in this rivalry since 2013, the away team has won.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2020, 2021 was the first time A&M won in Auburn.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a really good game.
Oh, it's
It's
going to
not
be a
gonna
good
be
game for sure. I'm
it's
not saying it's not.
it's not gonna be a high scoring game. I think if you want to if we're gonna give the edge to teams, I think offensively A&M has the edge over Auburn. Our front seven's a little concerning because we haven't been able to pressure the quarterback, but that might be because of the defense they were running. They may not have been blitzing. Auburn's going to blitz a lot this game. They're going to put
Oh,
pressure
they
on
have
Wiggum.
to. They have to.
Yeah,
If
they're
they
going to
don't,
have to stop Connor
then
Wiggum. There's no question to it. Our secondary is really good. In fact, there's been people saying that they're probably the best secondary in the SEC. Early to say, I don't know. I mean, we'll know more this weekend on how good they really are. My concern is Eugene Asante. No, I'm sorry, not Eugene Asante. Keontae Scott is out with a knee injury. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future. And he was a really powerful punt returner. He almost returned a punt return the first game. Yeah, it was UMass, but he was like 10 yards shy of returning for a touchdown.
yeah, I watched that. That was pretty impressive.
With him being out, that has me concerned a little bit. But they got good corners. They got Jalen Simpson back there who has had an interception every single game so far.
Yeah.
If Auburn can come out and execute perfectly, if they can get that passing game going with the RPOs, they'll win this game. So, and this is not me being biased, so don't think that. I've been saying it all week. I've got the feeling. Auburn's going to pull out a
That
late.
loving feeling.
Yeah. I got a feeling that we're going to score a late touchdown and Auburn's going to win 24-20.
4-point game, huh?
4-point game. It's a 7.5-point spread, so.
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Not the point spread, but
Yeah.
but the win. I think Auburn pulled this one off. If they play it right, I could see this being a 14-point game.
Yeah.
Do I expect it to be one? No, but I could see it being a 14-point game.
I do too. And in fact, I was in one of the Auburn groups I'm in. I was being cocky, being the Auburn fan in me was saying, "Oh, we're going to go in there and win 38-14." That's not going to happen. But I'm like you. I could see it being a 14-point game if we were playing perfect football.
I could see 38-21.
Yeah, I could see it. Will it happen? Probably not. If this were later in the season, I could see it happening. But because this is our first SEC game, still a lot of questions out there. It's going to be tough.
It's A&M's first SEC game too, right?
Yes, it is.
So, I mean,
but
for tap.
This would be awesome. It would be like the perfect scenario for Auburn to beat A&M and go in the Georgia game 4-0 next week. Because we're going to need all the luck we can get to beat them. Although Georgia does look vulnerable, and we'll talk about that game next week. But now we come to your game that I'm really interested to hear about, and that's Alabama and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to Tuscaloosa. It's a 2:30 kickoff on CBS, which I'm looking forward to the intro, but I'm not looking forward to the commentary.
Yeah.
But that game, man, it's got me concerned. It really does.
You and me both. My biggest thing is, we don't have a solid for sure offense. We don't have a solid for sure defense. So we're going to struggle. Whether we can, finally get in the groove, or not, that's up in the air still to say. First quarter is going to be god awful for Alabama. just for the simple fact that they're obviously starting Milrow. It's been confirmed that Milrow is going to start for that one. They actually confirmed that one pretty quick. But I see, if Jalen Milrow can get his wits about him and get the butterflies out of his stomach and actually play football, I think we can just take this one and run. But we also have to get the offensive line, to where they're giving solid blocks so he has time to make those plays and do those things that he needs to do in order to make that happen. And then our secondary needs to stop holding and actually, defend and not get beat like they have been in the past. So with all that being said, what are your thoughts on how this game's going to go?
So let me ask you this question. Who do you think, and there's a reason why I'm asking this question, who do you think is ranked number one in the country as far as scoring offense?
As far as scoring offense this year?
Like points per game.
Are we talking SEC or all around?
No, national.
National? Well, with you asking this question during this game, it's got to be one of these two teams. If not, I was going to say Oregon just because of their 80-70 point win and then their 70-something point win that they had.
They're second, 58.
Yeah. If I had to guess with this question that you're going with, I'm going to have to say Ole Miss.
It's not Ole Miss, actually. It's USC, 59.3. But Ole Miss is ranked fourth nationally as far as points per game. Now, have they played a lot of people? No, but they have played Tulane, and Tulane's not a bad football team.
Right. Oh, that game was amazing to watch.
Yes, it was. They're averaging 52.7 games. I'm sorry, 52.7 points a game.
Yeah.
This is the odd thing to me. And, of course, you got to think they played Texas. Alabama's ranked 53rd nationally, scoring 32.3 points a game.
See, that's
Auburn's actually ranked ahead of Alabama as far as points per game. But that's 3 games, 1 game being against Texas.
Yeah, but that's also one game against South Florida that didn't go so well. So I mean, you really can't.
I agree.
I know you're trying to give us a little love, but we don't deserve it.
So I'll say this: Jackson Dart is playing a lot better this year. A lot better.
Jackson Dart is a hit or miss quarterback. When he's on, he's on. When he's not, he is trash.
But look who's got coaching him. And I mean, I know y'all love Lane Kiffin. I was on the Lane train last year hoping he was going to come to Auburn. I'm kind of glad he didn't now because of what Hugh Freeze has done on the recruiting trail.
Back to my statement. When he's on, he's on. When he's not, he's trash.
No, I 100% agree with you.
That goes for both of them, Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart.
No, I agree with you. Here's another interesting stat. I've got them pulled up here. So as far as scoring defense, let's just look at the SEC. It'll just be easier to do it that way.
Scoring
defense. Scoring defense. Alabama's ranked 4th. They're allowing 7 points a game. Ole Miss is only allowing 16.7. So defensively, they're pretty even.
Yeah.
If you look at this, and honestly, that's kind of the strength of their team right now. Of Alabama's team is their defense. Are they going to be able to? I didn't mute the mic. Are they going to be able to put pressure on Jalen Milrow?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
they will.
They will most definitely be able to put pressure on Milrow.
The thing is, if Alabama's O-line plays anything like they did last week, they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. This is a tough one, man. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Let me go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ole Miss by 14.
Wow. 14?
Ole Miss by 14.
Wow. I was going to go them too, but I was going to give them 3 points.
Have you seen our defense?
Yeah, I have. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little shocked that you went that high.
I told you, I'm
So,
a
yeah.
football fan first.
No, I agree, and I mean, you know, you're calling a spade is what you're doing, and I mean, I agree with you. I said 27-24.
So you kind of got to give a little. But
You're calling a spade is what you're doing. Home field advantage, I agree with you. It'll be a close game. And I would say 3 or 4 years ago, if it came down to field goal, you're gonna give it to Ole Miss. But now Saban's actually recruited some really good kickers the past few years. 3 or 4 years ago, if it came down to field goal, he kind of had to give it to Ole Miss.
yeah,
Saban's actually recruited some really good kickers. Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I'm really concerned about this one because of
you and me both.
the way they played last week. I'm really concerned about this one. The way they played up to this point this season. The way they played last week, just the role that Ole Miss is on. How crazy would it be to think that Ole Miss could actually win the West? Just the role that Ole Miss is on. I mean, legitimately. How crazy would it be to think that
Pretty crazy, but it could happen.
It could absolutely happen.
Like I can go ahead and tell you, both of our pre-season predictions for the SEC are not going to go at all how we had predicted.
No, not at all.
All how we had predicted.
Not at all. All right, so real quick, not at all. Before we get into our bold predictions, all right. So real quick, who do you? All right, let's rank. Let's re-rank the West after week 3. Who do you? All right, from 7 to 1, and then we'll do the same thing with the East after week 3. Who do you? All right.
Right now, Mississippi State,
And then we'll do the same thing with the East.
7.
Okay.
Right now, Mississippi State,
And then we'll do the same thing with the East.
7. Ooh, 6. I would probably have to go. 6. Texas A&M right now. Probably have to go. 6. Texas A&M right now. 5. Let's see. Texas A&M. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. 5. Yeah. 7 Mississippi State. I'm sorry. 6. Yeah. 7 Mississippi State. Texas A&M. 5 LSU, just because of their loss in week 1. 4 in week 1. Bama 4.
Wow.
Just because they're not playing to par. Just because they're not 3 Arkansas. I mean, I know they had that loss to BYU, but you know they're not struggling as bad as Bama is. They're not 2 as bad as Bama is. Who all of us said Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Who all of us said Mississippi State.
You said LSU. You
LSU,
said Alabama.
Alabama, Arkansas.
You said LSU. You
LSU.
said
So that leaves 2.
Alabama.
Ole Miss,
LSU.
and which one am I missing?
Ole
Miss, Auburn. And which one? I'm going to switch Bama and Auburn. Auburn's 4 just because. I mean, I know they have a better record.
That's fair. That's fair.
But Auburn's 4 just because. And I'm going to put Bama there, and
That's
then
fair.
it's
fair.
between. And I'm going to put Bama there, and
That's
then
fair.
it's between. Right now, Ole Miss is 2, but I think they could easily be 1. Ole Miss is 2.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Mine's a little bit different, actually. I've got Mississippi State at 7. Mine's a little bit different. We agree on that. I've got because of their loss to BYU. I've got Arkansas at 6. Because of their loss at 5. I've got Arkansas at 6. Hold on, let me make sure I'm telling you right. At 5, yeah. At 5, make sure I'm telling you right. Because we don't know much about them. I've got Auburn. At 5, at 4, I've got A&M. I've got Auburn. 3, I've got Alabama. 2, I've got Ole Miss, and 1, I got LSU. 3. As of now, 2, I've got Ole Miss, and 1, I got LSU. 3. I mean, you got to be real, right? All right. What about the East? I mean, you got to be real, right? All right. What about the East?
Georgia is 1.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to be real.
Who is Georgia is 1.
Mm-hmm.
Who is? I still got to say Tennessee. I mean, I know they had that loss, but they're still pretty solid. 3. I'm going to go with South Carolina just because, you know, they had that one loss. I'm going to go with South Carolina just because, you know, they had that one loss. I'm going to go with South Carolina just because, you know, they had that one loss. 4. I really haven't seen much from Kentucky, so I really don't know what they've done. So I really don't know I'll keep them at 4 for now. 5. Let's see. Who am I missing? Got Vandy left, Missouri left, and Florida. No, I said Florida, right?
Yeah, you said Florida. You got Missouri, Vandy, and Florida. You said Florida, right?
I think I did.
I think you did too.
No, I didn't. I said Tennessee. No, I said Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky. So I didn't say Florida. Florida. I'm almost switch Kentucky and Florida. Florida, Kentucky, Vandy, Missouri.
Really? So mine's completely different. Of course, obviously, I got Georgia number 1. Number 2, as of right now, I do have Florida. Just because
Really?
of the big win over Tennessee. I mean, it's going to change. I mean, this is a week-by-week thing. But right now, I've got Florida at 2. 3, I have Missouri. Because that win over Kansas State last weekend. It was an impressive win. I mean, it was a last-minute field goal, but still.
Shouldn't have been that close.
It shouldn't have been, but Missouri should have been close to Auburn last year. Missouri lost that game for themselves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Missouri's one of those teams that's always going to win that one game they're not supposed to. They almost beat Georgia last year, too. Think about that. 4, I'm going to have Tennessee. 5, I got Kentucky because I don't know much about Kentucky yet. Oh, wait. No, hold on. Let me back up. South Carolina's in there. No,
I'm about to say you're
I'm
going to drop South Carolina that far?
No, I'm going to. All right, Georgia 1, Florida 2, South Carolina 3, Missouri 4, Tennessee 5. Vandy's the last, obviously, and then Kentucky, just because we don't know much about Kentucky. Kentucky's going to move on up in the rankings, but hey, before we get to our bold prediction, Thomas is posted on here. He said, so interesting take. Deion's sons and Travis Hunter will be done with college in about 3 years. If Saban has 35 years left in him, do you think Alabama would go after Deion? Think about the commercials they've been doing together and the relationship they now have. I feel like it could happen.
Someone else told me that. They say that this last commercial that they did is kind of like a hint that Deion could possibly come to Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it happening. It's going to depend.
I want Deion to get a little more experience in the Power 5 under his belt before that decision is ever even thought of being made personally.
Right.
But could it happen? Yes. You know,
I mean,
with the 3 to 5 years, yes.
That's the only reason why I didn't want him to come to Auburn this year, just because of the lack of experience in the Power 5.
Yeah.
Do I see it happening? Do I think it could happen? Yes. Do I think it'll happen? I don't know, simply because we don't know when Saban's going to call it quits. He might call it quits after this year. He may have 8 more years. Only person knows when he's going to retire is Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. If his season goes downhill, and I mean downhill as far as like 6 or 7 wins, I could see it happening sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But as far as Deion Vander's replacement, man, I don't know. He really wants that Florida State job, but I don't think Mike Norvell is going to go anywhere anytime soon.
No, he's there for a while.
Yeah. Thomas said he thinks Deion will lead Colorado to a conference championship. That may be a bold take, but I see it happening. I
Thomas,
can see it
I'm
happening.
right there with you, man. I am on that Deion train.
Look, I am too. I'm just saying that I think this is going to be his first big offensive struggle this weekend when they play Oregon. And if that game were being played in Colorado, I would pick Colorado. But because it's in Oregon, I'm going Oregon.
If he doesn't do it this year, he'll do it next year.
Oh yeah. I mean, look what he's done with the roster in 1 year. He got rid of like 90% of Colorado's players from last year. Brought in half of his guys from Jackson State, which is really funny because a lot of people were saying that these Jackson State players weren't going to do anything, and look what they've done.
Yeah.
Look what his son's doing. Dude, he's got over 1,000 yards in 3 games. Come on.
Something's in the waters.
Yep, Travis Hunter being out hurts them the next 3 games. Thomas, yeah, I agree with you. We said that earlier because not only do they lose that player on defense, but they also lose that big offensive player.
To have a laceration on the liver and then be expected back in 3 weeks is insane.
It's very insane. Hey, by the way, speaking of injuries, didn't you say that there's a key Alabama player that's out? They announced it today.
Key ex Alabama player.
Oh.
He's with the Cowboys now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so never mind. That's not going to affect this weekend's game. All right, so something we're going to start doing this year is a bold prediction.
I'm sorry.
And as a season, yeah, I think he's at the Cowboys. As the season progresses, we may do 2 or 3 bold predictions each week. This was Steven's idea. He kind of thought about it around the same time I was thinking about it, and he messaged me a couple of days ago, and I was like, "That's funny," because I was thinking about the exact same thing. So, Steven, I'll let you take it away. What is your bold prediction for this weekend? And remember, like we said, a bold prediction doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. It's more like it's not going to happen.
Let me go back to it.
But it's so bold, it's so big that if it did happen, you'd be like, "Whoa, what?" All right, go ahead.
Because I have a couple in my mind of that
I had 3.
Do. Yeah.
You can do 2. That's not gonna hurt anything. You can do 2.
Okay, so one of them I'm gonna do one SEC one and then one non-SEC one.
Okay.
My SEC one's going to be Vandy over Kentucky because it is an 11 o'clock game and it is in Nashville, Tennessee, in their construction site stadium. They really do. Let's see here, and my other one. Let's see here for giggles. I'm gonna go with Rutgers over Michigan.
Wow. So you're doing a bold prediction as far as a pick. Okay. Yep. So my bold predictions are a little bit different. They're still obviously a game, but like I said, go big or go home, right? My first bold prediction, and Thomas says his bold prediction, Notre Dame beats Ohio State by 2 touchdowns. Wow.
Look, yeah, that's
Thomas. If that happens, dude, that's gonna be insane. It's really gonna be insane. Then
now I think my 2 are gonna be close games. That's why I just said one team over another. It's not like it was a blowout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right, let me look at the games because since y'all are doing bold predictions on games, I was gonna make a bold statement about points. But let me pull the game.
Like a point differentiation or whatever?
Yeah. All right, so we got, okay. I'll make one bold prediction, and then, which I guess at this point I really want to be bold with it because I can see it happening, but Clemson beats Florida State.
Still on there?
Almost done. Yeah, I can see that. That's a pretty solid one.
Bold prediction number 2. Since we're going to do 2 instead of 1. I'll do my original one. Y'all ready for this? My bold prediction for this week. Auburn puts up 40 on Texas A&M.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's awfully bold. And if it happens, you'll have to come see me in the hospital because I'll have a damn heart attack.
If that happens, man.
If that happens, it makes next week's game against Georgia a lot more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It does. Will it happen? Probably not. But that's my bold prediction. 40 points against A&M.
Okay.
But I didn't say Auburn would win. I just said they'd put up 40 on A&M. A&M could put up 48 on us. I don't know.
See, now, doing it that way, that's really not a bold prediction.
But I'm going to stick with my bold prediction. Auburn puts up 40 on A&M and wins the game.
Okay.
Yep. So, all right. That's it, man. That was our bold predictions for this week. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I know it's kind of late with us getting started. We're still working kinks out, guys, so just bear with us. The next few weeks will be better. They'll be more consistent as far as start times. We're shooting for a start time between 9 and 9:30 just because it gives us time to put kids in bed, and it's still not too late for y'all to be up and watch. We posted the links for the Twitch page as well as the YouTube page in the comments on the Facebook page. And then I've also I'm going to go back on the YouTube page and I'll post the links there as well for our channel. So make sure y'all, if y'all like this content and what we're putting out, y'all go like our videos and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. The more you subscribe, the more content we can put out. So we really appreciate that. Next week I'll be out of town. I will be in Arkansas, but
And I'll be back home.
Steve will be back home, but we'll still do a show. So, Steven, anything you want to say to everybody before we call it a night?
Yeah, just make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch, and then you can give us a like on subscribe on YouTube as well. I'll keep them. We promise we'll get this thing on a regularly scheduled time frame and everything. It won't be sporadic and late. So just bear with us. We're gonna get everything worked out. We'll be rolling. We'll be rolling by mid-season. Late. So just bear with us. We're gonna get everything.
Yeah, I hope it's before that. But
yeah, me too.
We'll be rolling by. We'll get it going, guys. But until next week, we will see y'all then, and y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend of football. And War Eagle.
Roll Tide. Peace.
Next week, we will see y'all then, and y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend of football. And War Eagle.
Roll Tide. Peace.
I gotta stop on all these channels. All right, I stopped on Facebook. And it's now